You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com. Welcome back to this Friday morning on the 16th day of February. Chairman Kurt Prenzler in studio as we are just a couple of weeks away from primary day.
That's right, March 19th.
And how are we feeling ahead of that?
Feeling great.
And, sir, this has been one that you've been boots on the ground with. And, you know, we've had so many people a part of the county races joining the show and filling us in. But, I mean, you've had the luxury, in a way, a weird luxury of campaigning as hard as you're campaigning, plus still being county chairman.
That's right.
And take me through some of the things that you've been able to accomplish in the last couple of years, if you don't mind me asking.
Well, the most important thing has been property taxes. And as people sometimes still remember, I was treasurer for 6 years. I lost my first race. I ran against Fred Bathon, and I blew the whistle on what bad things he was doing in the office, and he later went to federal prison for those. But he did beat me in that first race in 2006. I ran again in 2010. I managed to win. I reformed the tax sale process. I reduced the cost of the office by 30%, always with an eye on helping the taxpayer. And then I won again in 2014. And then in 2016, I ran for county chairman. And then I became, in 2016, the first Republican ever to win at large by the people.
Right.
And so then at that point, I appointed, believe it or not, my opponent in this race, I appointed him treasurer. So I guess that's payback. But in any case, no good deed goes unpunished. But in any case, so then I won re-election in 2020. And so what did I accomplish as chairman? The most important thing I did, and I began this on the ground, getting petitions. I have gotten so many people to sign petitions. I think that's almost on my resume in terms of I'm good at getting people to sign petitions. But when I ran in 2016, I gathered 10,000 signatures, myself 1,000, and we put a tax reduction referendum on the November 2016 ballot to reduce county government taxes. Now, this gets into the weeds. Everybody knows that every year they get a tax bill from the county, and some people think that money goes to the county. Well, no, it goes to the school districts, it goes to the fire district, to the municipalities. It's like a layered cake. So before I was chairman, I'm proud to say, about 10% of your tax bill went to the county government. Now it's getting close to 6.
Wow.
Under 6.5. And that's because we reduced our levy. The levy is the amount that the taxing district grabs, that they impose. The levy is the amount. And so before I was chairman, the amount was $32.6 million. We reduced it by $1.8 million down to $30.8, and we've kept it there. Now, a lot of taxing, this is a math problem, so I hope everyone's taken their math course in grade school or junior high or high school.
I barely passed.
Okay, so basics, what most, I should say, taxing districts do is they keep the rate the same, and then as the assessor tells you that your property is more valuable, and the assessor is generally telling the truth, the taxing district just sits there with the same rate and they get more money. Okay. What we did in the county was different. We kept the levy, the amount the same. We kept it at $30.8 million, and we passed that in 2017. And we did it again in 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. And that's where it's going to be in 24. And so we've reduced our rate from 73 cents per $100 of assessed valuation, all these numbers. Well, we've reduced our rate from 73 to 48, and this year it's going to be lower. So you just don't see that. In fact, on my tax bill, and I would venture to say on everyone's tax bill, if you really do a deep study, which you can do on the internet, on our county website, you're probably paying less to county government today. I would say almost certainly than you did 8 years ago. So, the point is, we can solve this property tax problem, and we do have a property tax problem. But CJ, there's another thing that I have been unsuccessful in getting done as county chairman, and that is as the county board, we can help with the rest of that layered cake. So you see, we've done a good job with the county government portion, but there's one more thing we can do for the rest of people's tax bill, and that is we can put property tax caps on the ballot. So I thought, as a Republican, when I won in 2016, I thought that the Republicans on the county board would vote with me to put property tax caps on the ballot. And it's called PTEL. It's a little complicated.
Okay.
But the fact is, this is not a revolutionary not a revolutionary thing. They have this in other counties in Illinois. And it's one more tool to limit property tax growth. It's not revolutionary. It doesn't put taxing districts out of business. But what it does is it limits the increase of the levy to the lesser of 5% or the inflation rate. Okay, that's a lot for your listeners to take in.
That's a lot of information.
It's a lot of information. But let me say it helps. And I will tell you that I was called over to another county just recently, about a month ago, but to Marion County in Salem, about an hour east of here. And they invited me over because they had heard that I am a good conservative and I understand property taxes. And that's true. That's been something I've learned. I should be an expert on local taxation,
right,
having been treasurer and county board chairman.
Right.
And so they were complaining that their real estate taxes on their school district, that they were going up 6.5%. And I said, folks, there were 25 people in this restaurant who were there to hear me. And I said, in Madison County this year, and this is going to shock you, don't fall off your chair. This year, the Granite City School District, they are raising their levy 17.15%. The Collinsville School District, 15.4%. Most school districts in Madison County, Highland, 13%. Most districts are going up from 10 to 12%. I know that Triad and Troy is 7.6%. I know that Roxanne is 5%. I know that Venice and Madison are a little bit less. But most taxing districts, East Alton, Wood River, 10% increase. Not Roxanne. Roxanne is 5%. But most of the taxing districts, including Edwardsville and Alton, Bethalto, are in that 10 to 12% increase. Well, you know, most people are not getting a 10% increase on their Social Security.
Right.
People are not getting a 10% increase on their salary. And so that's why this PTEL, and so, okay, let me go back to property tax caps.
Absolutely.
I asked the county board 4 times to put property tax caps on the ballot for people to vote on, for the people to decide. In 2018, 2020, 2022, and 2023. And enough Republicans deserted the cause to go and vote with the Democrats that it hasn't happened.
Can I ask what is some reasoning behind that? Do you know of any reasoning why the Republicans? Because you're right. I mean, I would assume too, you know, that we'd have Republicans getting behind this. Is there a reason in your mind that
I
happened?
don't think there's any valid reason.
Okay.
But I think it is indeed complicated, and it does affect different areas of the county differently. But let the people vote on it. I have been told by almost every voter going door to door in the county, I'd like to learn about it and vote on it. And I think that what the county board has been designated by the state of Illinois as the gatekeeper, only the county board can put it on the ballot. There was a gentleman in Godfrey, I think one of the greatest county board members we ever had. He's not here anymore. Mm-hmm. His name is Gene Frieso. He was, your listeners will remember him. He represented Godfrey from 2000 to 2004. He was a retired bank president, and he taught me a lot about property taxes. A very smart man, a conservative. And he said, keep your eye on the levy. And he said, and he gathered 15,000 signatures on petitions to put PTEL on the ballot.
Wow.
But simply, the law doesn't allow putting it on the ballot by petition. If it did, I could go out, I could guarantee you in a month or two, I could get 30,000 signatures because people just simply want to vote on this, and the county board has prevented them. So that has made the county board, some of the people on the county board, quite angry at me. Also, in 2022, when we had Republican primaries, and we're in a Republican primary,
right,
And this year again, I'm supporting Republican county board candidates who are pledging to put PTEL on the ballot for the people to vote on. So we have a disagreement among some people who call themselves Republicans. But my point is, how can you call yourself a Republican if you are against letting the people vote on this? And we've had county board members say, well, you know, I think I've been elected to make that decision. And my response when those people say that, if they say they're smarter than the taxpayer or the voter, I'm thinking to myself, I guess when you got elected, your IQ went up 20 points. And I just don't think that happens. I think that in a democracy, if you can vote on things, that's my position.
Yeah.
And not everyone agrees with me. This will not bankrupt school districts. This will not bankrupt fire districts. And I'll explain. Number one, can you live within the rate of inflation in terms of raising your levy? And number two, if you cannot, you can always have the voters, go to the voters and have the voters increase the taxes. There's nothing to limit that. And in fact, up in the Chicago area, there are, in the suburbs particularly, where they have voted for very high taxes for education. Mm-hmm. So some of those high schools in school districts in the Chicago area, they do receive a lot of tax money because the people have simply voted for that.
Right.
So, and we've seen that here locally. We saw in November, this past November, a year ago, no, I'm sorry, on April 4th of 2023, we saw the Edwardsville School District, they voted and approved a $100 million bond issue. In November of 2022, the Highland School District voted and approved a $40 million bond issue. Now, there is something called a backdoor referendum, and this is a sneaky way to issue a bond that ends up raising property taxes without voter approval. And this PTEL would get rid of that. And we've seen that in the summer. In July, we saw the East Alton Wood River High School District pass a $2.4 million backdoor referendum. Well, I got out there with others and got 300 signatures, and we needed 820, and we got 1,120. We've seen this in the Granite City, tried to do this right before Christmas. I believe they didn't do a proper job of public notice. Mm-hmm. And I made that. So I've been involved in local issues. Right. Listen, we have a lot of problems as a country. One of them is the migrants, the open border. Well, guess what? Because our federal government has an open border, we as local officials have to worry about this. Mm-hmm. And up in Chicago, they've had white buses arrive at suburban commuter stations, and they usher them on the commuter trains, and they go to downtown to Chicago to a landing zone. But because Chicago, in our state, has decided that it's a sanctuary city for illegal aliens, mm-hmm. We do have people going in that direction. Now, in I wrote a letter to the editor today about multi-gender bathrooms.
Correct. And this was just at the Edwardsville discussion.
Now, Edwardsville just passed a $100 million bond issue. And on Monday, I received a notice, on short notice, that there was going to be a meeting on this. And this is local. You know, not everything happens in Washington.
Right.
Not everything happens in Springfield. And so I went to a meeting. It was a working meeting of the Edwardsville School Board. And an architect they're planning some renovations in their high school. And the plan is to get rid of 2 single-sex bathrooms that are next to each other and recreate a multi-gender bathroom with 22, I don't know if I got the number right, 22 stalls or something like this, 6 sinks, and okay, this is different. This is the first time. And one of this is allowed now in the state of Illinois because the state representative, Katie Stewart, from Edwardsville, whose husband is the principal mm-hmm. at Edwardsville High School, she championed a bill to allow multi-gender, more than 2, or all gender bathrooms.
Right.
This is a new language that we're speaking. And so this was something they were looking at that plan And this has been done in Minnesota, this has been done in Virginia, but it has not been done yet in Illinois.
And I wanted to ask you more about that because you were at the meeting and all I saw were reports afterwards. In this proposal that they're doing, is, in your estimation, do you think, I thought it was just, there was no enclosure, they were just going up to the top, but there's still going to be an enclosed waiting area, correct? I'm trying to figure it out because I'm as concerned as a lot are.
It's just different. And as you go, I went to a large public high school, and these bathrooms are big,
right,
and crowded,
right,
and everyone's in a big rush because you're between classes. Mm-hmm. And now we're not here to talk about bathrooms today,
right?
But
right,
it's something that people need to be aware of, and that was my point in writing the letter to the editor, that there are. Particularly, I think parents need to be aware of what's going on. And so this is a very new thing in this country.
Absolutely. And then, getting back just to what you said briefly about migrants, there's no doubt Chicago's a sanctuary city, and there's bus loads going in and out at a lot of portions of the day. And you look at the numbers from the border, it's there. Currently, right now, is Madison County facing, illegal immigration, migrants coming in that could affect us currently?
Well, let me tell you that we're keeping an eye on this with our emergency management agency, and we've always had illegal immigration in this country, but not on an organized scale like we're seeing today. And so I'll tell you that in Illinois has made itself a little bit of a target, regrettably, because I'm going to be fair as fair. Under Republican Governor Rauner, Illinois in 2017 or 2018 declared itself to be a sanctuary state to some degree, that we would not cooperate entirely with federal immigration people. Mm-hmm. And so but I will say that Effingham, so counties and cities have to get involved now. Right. This is something we didn't sign up for. And, we always depended on the federal government to manage our borders. Well, it says that in the Constitution. And that's one of the things that Texas has an issue with the federal government. It's like, wait a minute, your job is to protect our borders. And so we see how all these things, even the Ukraine situation, where our military is so focused on Ukraine and supplying Ukraine, and the border's open, for crying out loud.
Right. 100%, yeah. And
so it's a different world we live in. 2024, we all knew it was going to be an interesting year.
It's true. That's true. And we're here now. And that's why I was just curious to know if this is something that we're proactively viewing or keeping an eye out for. And
it is.
And now, is there any terminology or any bill that the county board could pass that could, restrict, let's just say one day Governor Pritzker says Chicago's flooded, we got to start moving them down the line? Well,
I've been talking about that beginning of in September of last year. I wrote a letter to Governor Pritzker and I said, please inform us. I've written on this before. I've called and spoken directly with suburbs of Chicago. And typically what they're seeing up there is they see these white buses show up at suburban commuter stations. Mm-hmm. The migrants, they leave the bus, they have guides, they have food, these are organized buses, and they get on the commuter trains, they go down to downtown Chicago, they go to a place called a landing zone. They get a card with money, they get benefits. I don't know all the things. This is so different. And the state of Illinois has, I believe, and people can Google it, I believe the state of Illinois has provided over the past year and a half, 2 years, an astounding $600 to $700 to $800 million of aid in the city of Chicago, and they're hoping to get reimbursed by the federal government. And then I think Governor Pritzker recently said that, well, if these migrants end up outside of Chicago, we've got 17 for the whole state. Now, Effingham County just passed a resolution saying that they will take no money for no federal money or state money for migrants, and they will spend no money for migrants. Right. And we're going to be looking at that shortly. That's what I was curious about, yes. what that outlook would look like. And as we're talking right now, we've already been talking for 20 minutes, and I honestly don't know where the time went. Can you stick around after and I take a quick break and we come back? Sure. Let's do that right now on this Friday morning. We'll take a quick pause. Our conversation with the chairman of the Madison County Board, Kirk Prenzler, continues right after this.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
Dream Home Realty Center.
Hey, Sherry, talk to me, Dream Team. We've got showing.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or a weekend warrior, gear up with Falcommit and elevate your hunting experience. From rugged gear for the seasoned hunter to adorable outfits for the little ones, we've got your whole family covered. Literally, because the best moments are made in the great outdoors. And with Falcommit, you're not just wearing gear, you're wearing the stories of your adventures. Discover the joy of hunting together. Visit Falcommit.com and outfit your family for the next generations of memories.
We are Phillips 66 Wood River Refinery. We make the fuels that take us to work and our children to school. We make materials and energy products that allow us to stay connected to each other. We care about the quality and safety of our products because we care about the communities we share. Our employees live our values of safety, honor, and a commitment to act as good neighbors where we live and operate. We are Phillips 66. When life throws unexpected challenges your way, you need a versatile legal ally to protect you. Sean Lentz, with over 12 years of experience, is here to help you in a variety of avenues. From personal injury to criminal defense and even semi-truck accidents, Sean Lentz has your back. Don't wait for the justice that you deserve. Call 618-465-8000 and see how Sean can help you today.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Sitting in the sun, I'm sure it'll hit me.
Welcome back. I don't know what time it is because we're taping this a little bit early, but all I know is that we're having a conversation with Chairman Kurt Prenzler. Thank you so much for your time because I know, how busy this campaign season's been on top of your current duties. And, people last time, and I wanted to come back and hit on this because folks last time maybe saw an interview that I've done with other political figures throughout. Sure. And, my stance has always been, I have the platform, but I want to hear directly from the official, not a back and forth of maybe the host on national news argues with the candidate. I always think it's more beneficial to hear directly from the candidate. And I always appreciate when you come on. You came on last summer to talk about things going on in the county and were very blunt and really laid it out for us. And now you're back here now a couple of weeks before the primary. And we were talking about local issues a little bit. And I've always said, and I've said the same question to Chris, is that Alton's a town, I've always said, of 7 islands that aren't on the same page. It's, Middletown's working in a different fashion than downtown, and that's the way that a lot of people kind of view the city, is we're kind of disconnected. In the county, you have all these towns that make up Madison County. How important is it for you to look into their issues that maybe they're facing and seeing how the county can support?
Well, first of all, I think local is really important. And what I've noticed in my time as an elected official is every state is different. Every county within every state is different. Every town within every county is different. Every town has its own personality, and you're saying that you have 7 neighborhoods within Alton. Well, let me jump to one local issue that's been a nasty, difficult issue to deal with, and that's trash on the highways.
Yes.
And we have the largest waste in Roxana. It's the largest in the state of Illinois right now. We receive, this is not pretty to talk about, but we have struggled and we have tried. In fact, I was there, I think it was Friday, they have a new manager at the Roxana landfill. And let me say we have a couple of different problems, but we have some solutions. Let me tell you about one solution we've got, and that is 255 north of 270. If everybody knows, right there by Worldwide Technologies. And this is how the trash trucks tend to come in from Missouri, and they go up on 255 and they go east on 143. And let me say, all the litter is not from the trash trucks, but okay, we have to be after it. People hate litter, and we do not want to live in a trash dump in Madison County.
Right.
Believe me, we're on this. So we're going to be, those trash trucks, when they tip their loads into that landfill, they pay tipping fees. We've got about $8 million. We're going to be using that money this year. And right now, beginning February 24th, which is not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, we're going to have crews out completely picking up 255, both sides and in the middle, between 143, south of 143 and north of 270. Now, we're working on I-55 as we go from the Poplar Street Bridge all the way to 255. Now, that we've got a racetrack to be proud of. Right. This June, on June 1st and 2nd, we're going to have the biggest sporting event that we have in the Metro East, that NASCAR racetrack, WWT racetrack. It is amazing, and we should be so thankful for Curtis Francois, who bought that, turned it around. David Stewart in Worldwide Technologies. David Stewart is the owner of Worldwide Technologies. It is the largest African-American owned company in the country. Mm-hmm. And every time I look, they've got more revenues. It's 16 billion, 17 billion. And they have 25, they're the largest employer in Madison County. All of a sudden, they've got about 2,500 employees, and they put their name on that racetrack, and it is amazing. I've never been to a NASCAR racetrack, and I'm just you have headphones on?
Yep.
I recommend headphones.
Well, and you're right, because, I mean, that's, people talk about, and everyone knows how I feel about the term economic impact, and because I've always said, let's look at formulas and equations to how we got there. But with the racetrack, I mean, it was very clear to see the impact that race brought into the area. Yeah,
it was amazing. And we have a little bit of a problem with our interstates, trash on the side of our interstates, because in the state of Illinois, only IDOT can pick up the trash.
Right.
And they don't schedule that many pickups. Listen, I'm not here to trash IDOT.
Right.
No, I'm not here. I am not here to speak negatively about it. Is a tough problem. But in Missouri, they can hire independent contracting firms to go on the side of the interstates, and that's not allowed in Illinois, but we are going to work harder. I will tell you, in St. Charles County, Missouri, working with the county over there, and we do talk to them, they do 8 pickups a year on I-70 west of Missouri. I just want everyone to know that this has been a tough problem. I do hate litter. I pick it up as I go walking in my neighborhood. And we have given out 4,000 litter pickup kits to people in Madison County. I'm proud to say people do pick up litter in Madison County in their neighborhoods.
Well, absolutely. And, and people think that trash is just, a county highway problem. It's not. I mean, I walk my neighborhood and I got to look at, here's a broken beer bottle and here's all this junk that my dog's going to cut his foot on and I can't walk him there anymore. And so, I mean, there's so many facets of this that just don't revolve around the corridor, even though that's the biggest issue. But I've had folks on like, Chain Gang and all these guys that pick up trash or try. And the idea that they have is, this is an issue, but there's folks that are going, hey, we have to take care of X, Y, and Z, in terms of IDOT to make sure they're hitting projects on time and have to worry about trash. But it's still an issue we have to focus on.
Yes.
And that's just me. I don't know if there's anything that we can do other than, what you're trying to do with terms of maybe independent contractor situation.
255 between north of 270 and south of 143 it looks like an interstate, but it's technically a state highway, and that's why we can do this.
Okay.
But on interstates, like between the river, if you the new bridge in Chain of Rocks and you go on 270, it looks terrible today. Right. And after the winter, this is the worst time. Then IDOT will do a pickup, but I really wish that we could have the policies that they use in Missouri. Now, the city of St. Louis doesn't look good.
No.
And in St. Louis County, but if you go to some of these other counties like us, like St. Charles County, it is clean. And that's our goal.
And is there any wiggle room that you guys could have at the board level or at the county level to implement some? Because I know the state's saying that you can't do it from a statewide level, but is there anything you could do countywide with a policy that could help combat some of their language?
We're already doing that on 255 and state highways. We still are not there on the interstates.
Right.
We're not there yet.
Right.
Because we're not allowed to pick up there.
Right.
So what we can do is call IDOT and encourage them, and we will continue to do that. Absolutely.
And when you're walking the campaign trail, and that's one thing nobody can take away from you. I mean, you were out walking every chance you can to meet folks and go to different events. What's the number one concern? Is it property taxes? Whenever you're hearing about their issues that they're facing that they want to work on, whenever you're knocking on doors and talking?
I would say property taxes. I think that we talk about economic development, and we're very, very fortunate to have this investment on Wheeland, which was in East Alton, a $500 million, and this is an amazing company. It's a 200-year-old company, German company, where they started making church bells. And so this, that will be, the Olin Brass location will be a top flight, absolutely best-in-class manufacturing facility. The state of Illinois helped a great deal with that. But at the same time, we have to make sure that property taxes are not out of control so that families can live here, and families and businesses. It is an issue. We all know people who have left the state of Illinois because of taxes.
Right.
And so and by the way, I have led the fight to defeat a 1% sales tax that was proposed in 2011, 2017, and 2018. I believe passionately that we need to, as elected officials, do everything possible to help with the property tax situation.
And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. One thing I did want to ask you about was the homeless situation in Madison County, because, you know, the last couple of months, especially when the Arctic front came in and it was brutally cold, there were, you know, overnight warming locations and all these different, resources. But then there was a little bit of some scuttlebutt on, do we have permits for this? Do you need a permit?
That was in Edwardsville.
Yeah, but just throughout the county, is homelessness, is there a way, in your opinion, to combat this overall, or is it just start locally?
We have a homeless coordinator. It's called the consortium, and it's a number of different organizations, and it's a number of organizations that work together. I will tell you, just from personal experience in speaking to homeless people, that sometimes they're broken, and you can help them, and but that something has gone wrong in their life, and it's a very sad and difficult situation. So we have to be there with resources, and a number of organizations and churches. We did have a situation that got a lot of publicity in Edwardsville with 4 churches that wanted to have a warming center, and they had a kind of a situation with the city. It was my opinion that it's time to forget about, when temperatures are that desperately cold. Okay, I mean, let's just help people.
Right.
And so libraries have issues because homeless people, sometimes, especially in cold weather, gravitate to libraries. Our libraries in the county have sometimes hired social workers. And so it's a difficult, but again, we have to just continue to work with it. And I appreciate all the compassion we see in Madison County.
Well, and that's what I was curious to ask you about. And with that being said, sir, as of now, is there anything else that you want to talk about that we haven't yet? Because we've already been talking for 30 minutes, Chairman Prenzler, and I know that you're busy and don't want to keep you, but if there's any other policy or any type of message you'd like to get out, I'd love for our audience to hear.
Well, I really enjoy local. I think we have to make sure that we keep the taxes down locally, that we work on every aspect of our and to, in terms of to really take care of and be good gardeners of our local community, and our communities are different. Every town, every city and village in Madison County is different personalities, and I think that if we were, the state of Illinois has a bad reputation right now in terms of. And I think we would be growing and more if we were not in the state of Illinois, but we are. Mm-hmm. And I think, but we are safe. And I think and so we should just work to have a great county, and it takes everybody.
Absolutely. And sir, what's the best way for folks to get all the information about your platform, your campaign?
Well, anyone's free to call me on my personal cell phone, 618-514-2599. Also, they could go to my website, www.kurtprenzler.com, or on my Facebook at kurtprenzlercpa.com.
Absolutely.
Not .com, Facebook, Kurt Prenzler CPA.
I do it here. I can't even remember my darn phone number sometimes when I tell. Well, Chairman Prenzler, thank you so much. And I know that you're working hard. We're a couple of weeks away, and anytime you want to come on before or after, you know the door's always open. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, CJ.
No problem.
Okay.
We'll take a quick pause here on this Friday morning, and we will come back with more of our daily show right after this on RiverBender.com.